Alpha Clash just announced a new update that is coming out to the game. They actually announced a couple different updates to the game. So let's go over those updates that they currently announced. We can see that they released this new report called the Clash Report Vault Release Week and Rules Updates. If you don't know, they recently released their second PvE expansion along with a new spoils for the PvP. So everything in the Vault Trials is technically meant to be only for PvE. There are two Vault decks that are in that BTD1 and BTD2. Those are PvP viable. However, everything else inside the Vault Trials is not PvP viable. Now, alongside this, they release Spoils of the Vault, which is all PvP viable stuff, but also things that help PvE. So we see that we include a new full raid experience and 4 Spoils of the Vault boosters that come in the Vault Trials, along with you could go ahead and buy Spoils of the Vault separately. Now, all the cards that are in Spoils of the Vault are on our site dbs-deckplanet. You can go check out those cards. They did release quite a bunch of cards that are really nice and gave a lot of support to some old progenitors and some old harbingers as well, which is really nice. We got some new keywords that are coming out that are effective as of June 22nd, is currently June 30th as of recording. So these have been added and updated to the game. So we have Siege X. If this deals clash damage to a contender, they then mill X cards. So for mill players of Alpha Clash, you got brand new mill support. You got Shroud X, which is basically like Ward. You must pay X to target something. So it's basically built-in protection, but not super protection. It's, hey, you got to pay an additional cost. And then Manifest, you can play the card without paying its resource cost by doing a different action instead, usually like another cost or something along those lines. And then we have some additional updates and clarifications. Not so sure why this text is like that, but so Hooves of Havoc got an errata. This is effective as of June 22nd. There are erratas that are coming out that are effective as of August 1st, and we'll get to those. So all these items are updated as of June 22nd. So Havoc got an errata. So in order to make the card function as it wanted to, so the attached card gets an additional attack or attack power, then has trigger victory, reveal the top of your deck. You may engage and attach Hooves of Havoc if you do put the revealed card in your hand. Otherwise, you may put the revealed card on the bottom of your deck. So the way that reads is if I can reveal it. So I reveal the top card, and then if I want to keep it, if I want to draw it, I can tap down my Hooves of Havoc and draw it. Otherwise, I could just put it back on the top of my deck or put it on the bottom of my deck and then keep Hooves of Havoc unengaged. Double-sided contenders now have existing deck building restrictions, not going to interfere with them. So say, for instance, you were the Clarity dual-sided leader. So on the front side, you're a rogue, but on the back side, you're a harbinger. And on the front side, you're white, and back side, you're black. In those instances where you had a deck building restriction saying that, like, oh, hey, if your contender is black, this could be in your deck. Previously, since the front side of your contender was white, you couldn't have any of those cards. Same things in regards to any of your clash buffs or any other card that says, like, oh, if your contender is X, you get these abilities. Those weren't allowed previously. So these do help double-sided contenders. They now have access to a whole bunch of new items, but I think both of the double-sided contenders currently are white and then black. So you have Shadowlight and Clarity, who are both the two flip dual-sided leaders in the game so far. But as time goes on, we may get more double-sided contenders, which could help in the long run for those. So a new token section has been added. Tokens have existed in the game for a while. I don't think that's something new. One of the big things is unrivaled cards can no longer be searched unless a card specifically states otherwise. So previously, if I want to search up a card, say I played Morak from an ambush or just played him naturally, I get to search my deck for basically 2 costs or less and just add it to my hand. I could search up an unrivaled card because it didn't specify that I couldn't. And so I could, if I was playing the Absence, I could go get my unrivaled Clash Ground, which is probably one of the best Clash Grounds in the game, hence why it's unrivaled and only 1 copy per deck. So unrivaled cards are 1 copy per deck, and you can't search them unless you have a card that specifically states that you can search them. So it does hinder, but it makes the game a little bit more fair that you have to naturally try to obtain the card from drawing, or you have to obtain it in other means. A new combat step has been added before combat damage is dealt. There was a weird ruling where weapons didn't trigger due to no time slot was technically allowed for them to trigger. This just helps clarify that and actually allows those things to go off. And then we have FAQs, or frequently asked clarifications, for a couple of different cards, but we're not going to go over those. The big thing is the stuff that's coming out August 1st. Now, these items that are coming out August 1st is going to be a bit weird for the game. So we see that Morak, the Devourer, the one that I talked about, that we get the ability to search up a card. Morak is going to get an errata. So Morak is going to receive the errata for being able to only search for non-unrivaled 3-cost or less discarded cards. And so his updated text will read as he has ambush, counterattack. You may pay 2 black. If you do, put the card into play. If the portal's open, you may pay 1 black instead. Trigger enter. You may search your deck for a non-unrivaled, non-Morak discarded clash card with an initial resource cost of 3 or less. Reveal it, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then when this clash card deals damage to an alpha clash, it deals double that much damage to set. So really the only things that are being updated is non-unrivaled. So we're specifically stating non-unrivaled in this instance. New players who come join the game don't get confused, and they don't have to know the fine details of the comprehensive rulebook saying you can't search unrivaled cards. So that is what Morak is getting updated. Another major update is Haven the Bountiful Collector. Now, Haven the Bountiful Collector is a very widely used card in the game, but it is receiving a deck building restriction update to it. You need to be a blue contender and an earth contender in order to even play or have Haven Bountiful Collector in your deck. So that is the big update that is occurring here, is she's getting deck building restrictions built into her card. You may only play 1 Haven Bountiful Collector per turn. That's normal. Trigger enter, you basically get to ramp a card from your hand. Trigger defeat, you get a non-trap accessory from the drop back to your hand. And then the third biggest update that is going on for this so far is we are changing the deck size again. So early on in Alpha Clash's lifetime, the deck building was a 50-card deck plus a 10-card side deck. It changed as of, I think, set 6, where it changed to you have a 60-card deck, and at the beginning of every game, you'd take away 10 cards. And that would be like your pseudo side deck. You would be able to take 10 cards out of your deck, and that would be your side deck. You would build a 60-card deck, and then you'd have to pull 10 cards out. And that was the way that they did it. But now they're going to be moving to a range. So your deck size may now be 50 to 60 cards, and you're also now allowed a 0 to 15 card sideboard. Now this changes drastically compared to the first 2 instances of the deck size. Not only are we now increasing the possible pool of cards that we have up to 75 rather than 60, so that's 15 new cards we're allowed to have, but they still haven't really decided when it comes to match plays, or in Alpha Clash's instance, a best of 2. You play 2 games and that's it. That's the final score, best of 2. They haven't decided yet in regards to side decking on this. Side decking typically in these type of instances is you must side in and out this equivalent amount of cards. But talking with the AC team and talking with members of the community, it has yet to be decided. And a lot of us are thinking that I don't need to side deck equivalent amount of cards. If I come in with a 55 card deck, or I come in with a 50 card deck, I could side in 10 cards and not take any cards out because I'm still within my 50 to 60 limit. They have not decided on this yet. And that's a big deal, because I could, say I'm going up against a contender I know very in and out, and they have a specific package that can counter that deck. And I could straight up just put that entire package from my side deck into my deck and say, oh, my deck's still legal. I have a 60 card deck. I sided in a 10 card package. I'm not taking any cards out, and I have a 60 card deck. I'm able to play. And then also, come match 2 or game 2, I could choose to side in 7 cards rather than the same 10. I could just take out 7 cards or put in 7 cards rather than the original amount that I've selected. So this deck size moving to a range is probably the biggest change that's coming to Alpha Clash, in my opinion, that causes more versatility, but also at the same time, a lack of true deck building. Because I could build a deck that's 55 cards, and then I could just sideboard 15 cards in for whatever possible instance I could think of for the current ongoing meta. So if I know like these 2 contenders are the top 2 decks in the game, well, I'm going to have my sideboard specifically built out to beat those 2. And that's just going to be it. So I think it both bolsters and hinders deck building at the same exact time. But that's one of the biggest updates that's going on. Outside of that, they did and are so kind to tell us that, hey, there are some cards on the watch list. If you don't know what the watch list is basically saying, hey, we've noticed these cards being played, and we may want to errata them, we may want to ban them, we may want to do something about them. And so we see there are 4 cards in this. You have Torque the Uncontrollable, which is a 1-cost 1/2 Torque that basically says if it takes non-clash damage, it doesn't take that damage and instead gains that much attack instead. On play, take a life. That's not too awful bad. Here Comes the Boom, basically a red board wipe. I mean, no other color has a flat out generic board wipe that's as good as Here Comes the Boom, because Here Comes the Boom, play it for 4, 2 specific red, and it basically says deal 5 damage to every clash card. That's not bad. That's really good. And it works very well with Torque the Uncontrollable, because Here Comes the Boom deals non-clash damage. Torque the Uncontrollable then gets 5 attack and then can swing as a 6/7, I think, a 6/7 into contender. So it's really like these 2 together are really, really good. I mean, that's typically what it is. Like if you're playing red, you're playing Torque and Here Comes the Boom. No doubt about it. Those cards are in your deck. Then we have Lin the Nanite Assassin. It is a 1-drop 2/2 blue card. On play, your opponent diminishes a card. You put a bounty target on a on-target card. And if a card at the end of the turn, if a card with the bounty was removed from your opponent's side of the field, then you can go into either person's Oblivion and play a 1-cost card, 1-cost clash card on your side of the field. So, I mean, Lin the Nanite Assassin's really good. 1, it's a 2/2, because 2 2s for 1 is really, really fantastic. It's also, I diminish a card off I make my opponent mill a card, and then I could potentially get a card back. So Lin the Nanite Assassin also kind of makes sense that like it does way too much for 1 cost. Now, if Lin was a little bit more costly, could be fine. But for 1, Lin is very, very powerful. Then we got Shocking Revelation. It is a 6-cost, I think it's a 6-cost counterplay, or it's a 6-cost something. It's not a clash card, but basically it's saying like, I think this is also a board removal. In Genesis, you could play it for 4 because you can reduce the cost of it by 2 blues. And then additionally, for every card that you guys have resourced or something like that, you're able to, oh, no. Shocking Revelation, you pay 6. If you have no clash cards on your side of the field, it's basically a board wipe for your opponent. But basically it's saying your opponent gets rid of all clash cards to equal the amount of clash cards that you have. And then if the portal is open, you're allowed to, I think, resource a card or resource 2 cards from the top of your deck or draw a card. Shocking Revelation is basically just a blue board wipe. It comes in handy here and there. There are also times where you may be facing a contender that doesn't have any battle cards. So Shocking Revelation is a situational card. I'm not seeing why it would be on the watch list. It does cost 6 to play. I mean, it's a fairly expensive theoretical board wipe. It's really only good in Genesis alone, unless you're going against a blue contender or a deck that plays blue. and you happen to play the long game. So Shocking Revelation, I can see it being on the watch list. I don't think it's necessary to be on the watch list. And then they're basically just saying whether you're diving into PvE or Spoils of the Vault, refunding your deck, there's never been a better time to be an Alpha Clasher. Thank you for your continued support. With all that, I think we're doing fairly well. I mean, this is a fairly large update that's coming out to Alpha Clash. We got one errata currently. We have deck building restrictions being lifted for dual-sided leaders. And then come August 1st, we have 2 more erratas that are coming out from Morak and Haven. So if you are a Haven player or you are a blue player who plays Haven the Bountiful Collector, sorry, that card is now only going to be locked to blue Earth contenders. So you have Lynn, you have Haven, you have Mean Streak. I think those are your 3 blue contenders out there currently, blue Earth contenders. And then if you are someone who plays Torque the Uncontrollable, Here Comes the Boom, Lynn the Anti-Assassin, Shocking Revelation, hey, those cards are on the watch list. They may get errated or banned or something later down the line. We're not too sure. And then same thing when it comes to August 1st's deck size change. I think that's going to be one of the biggest changes that is going on with the game. And I think it's going to change how the competitive organized play of Alpha Clash is going to go. I don't think it's the best thing because we've been in the standard of at least 50 plus 10 in the game. It's always been a 50 plus 10 situation, even in the beginning where it was 50 plus 10 side cards, during the AC6 change where it was 60 cards minus 10. So it's always been 50 plus 10. It's always been a 60 card limit. Now we're going to a 75 card limit in total, because your deck is allowed to be within 50 to 60, and then your sideboard is 15 cards max. So I think that's going to change up the game quite drastically. And I'm not too sure what everyone else in the community thinks. Let me know your thoughts below. Are you happy with the August 1st update? Are you happy that we're no longer able to search unrivaled cards? Are you looking forward to set 8 being released in the next coming months? How is the PvE version 2 for you guys? And anything else Alpha Clash related, drop it below. And be sure to check out dbs-deckplanet for all your deck building needs when it comes to Alpha Clash. And then I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for being here for this Alpha Clash update. Have a good one.